Welcome to PWS United, a podcast for the Prader-Willi syndrome community brought to you by PWSA USA. This podcast gives the latest news in research, advocacy, and family support by bringing together staff, volunteers, PWS treatment specialists, biotech and pharmaceutical representatives, caregivers, family members, and individuals with PWS. Our goal is to connect education, awareness, and resources with those living with PWS and their supporters. Join us in our mission to enhance the quality of life and empower those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome. Here we are with volume 109 of PWSA USA's Pulse, and this Pulse came out October 18th, 2024, so that was just last Friday. And our theme for this month was October is National Physical Therapy Month. So most parents and caregivers of individuals with PWS are well versed in the world of therapeutic interventions. Physical therapy is a valuable and important intervention to help your loved ones grow, develop, and learn how to be successful in their space. So PT can help improve gross motor skills, which, as many of you know, may be delayed in children with PWS. And this includes activities like walking, running, and coordination. And children with PWS often have low muscle tone, otherwise known as hypotonia. PT can help strengthen muscles and improve flexibility, promoting better overall physical health. Due to an insatiable appetite, children with PWS are at risk for obesity. Regular physical activity guided by a PT can help manage weight and promote healthy habits. PT can address postural issues and enhance balance, which is vital for overall mobility and can reduce the risk of falls. Engaging in a physical activity can improve social interaction and build confidence as children participate in group activities or sports. An early intervention through PT can lead to better long-term health and outcomes, helping to mitigate some of the physical challenges associated with PWS. So for some families, access to physical therapy comes easily with a diagnosis, while others have to fight for this essential service. And some find success through alternative methods. Carrie, my family, are the last two. We did not have a lot of choices for physical therapy, and we had to find alternative methods.
I'm excited to hear what those are.
But yeah, so as October is Physical Therapy Month, we wanted to draw attention to the importance of physical therapy for your loved one, whatever that might look like. And we will have in the show notes a link to a booklet by Janice Agarwal. She is a physical therapist, and also, I don't know what this acronym is, but CNDT.
It looks like it stands for Children's Disability Network Team.
The booklet is called Therapeutic Interventions for the Child with Prader-Willi Syndrome. And be sure to check that out. That really goes into a lot of details of that early intervention stuff and what we can do for our loved ones, including physical therapy.
Yeah, Janice has a wealth of knowledge and on physical therapy, but also so many other therapeutic interventions. And she just has that book chock full of great ideas and great therapies for our loved ones with PWS. So I encourage everyone to check that out.
We also included some quotes about physical therapy and how it has affected the life of people's loved ones with PWS. So we spoke to some moms, and so
who had a lot of great insights.
Yes. As moms do.
Yes.
Christy Rickenbach, who again needs no introduction, mom to justice, she said physical therapy is important to not only help our loved ones get stronger, but also helps with their confidence. Therapists help our kids gain the strength and confidence they need to do what comes easily for other children.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, again, not just for physical therapy, but for all therapies that our loved ones with PWS go through and experience. Melanie McDonald, who is mom to Josephine, gave this quote. She said, "I remember when my child was a tiny infant, wondering why we needed PT at all. It felt like a waste of time. I learned that it gave us something to do, something to push for, and something to hope for. We could all practice these moves with her. We were developing strength, muscle memory, and a path forward." I love that she mentioned that this was something that the whole family can learn alongside their loved one and take it home and make it kind of a fun activity for everyone to be involved in, while also, gaining some great skills. So
Hmm.
that's great advice, Melanie. Thank you.
So true that therapy really is, especially something like this, it really is kind of a family affair. Because honestly, if your kid is getting an hour of physical therapy a week at an office, that's not going to do it. It's what you are learning while you're there to take home to help them do when they're at home. And I remember it was with speech therapy, but I used to take Freya's little sister all the time. And so we would come home and they would play speech therapist. And Rona would
Oh,
say, "Okay, Freya, say cat." But it was the sweetest thing. And then Freya would follow along. But then also Rona used to have a lisp. So
cute.
so cute.
I would have loved to see some like home videos of that, Annie.
Oh, I have a lot.
Oh, awesome. Let's get them out. That's adorable. I know it's so funny though, because it is absolutely, especially physical therapy, something you go and kind of learn the skills and take home. Unless you're me, I found out, and I have to go in person
Otherwise, you
to
don't do it.
actually like force myself. Yes, it's so bad. I don't know why my brain works that way, but these families know what to do. So
Yeah.
don't take
Yeah.
my advice.
Emily Felt, mom to Olivia, said, "My daughter had trouble learning to ride a bike. We tried to teach her for a few years without success. We took the problem to a PT who was able to break down all the movements and find ways for her to practice them separately, building strength and coordination. Within 2 months, she was able to ride with training wheels, and after another month, she started to ride independently." Emily and I have talked about this before because I have been trying to teach Freya nowhere near this diligently, but we've tried to teach Freya to ride a bike before and it just wasn't happening. Still hasn't happened because we don't have a physical therapist.
Mm.
But I remember texting Emily and I was like, "Does Ollie ride a bike?" And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, she does." And I said, "Was it hard to get her to?" And then she just broke down this long list of like going to the physical therapist and then all the different things that they did. And I was like, "Oh, that sounds like more than what I can do at home. I don't have, I don't have those
Right.
skills."
It's definitely those type of specific needs and interactions on a bike, for example. That's a great one, Emily. You do need to go into the office, I would think, consistently to really nail that down, especially in that time frame. That's incredible that she was able to pick it up in just a couple months. So, yeah, a specific way physical therapy absolutely makes a difference. So, Sarah, mom to Khaled, gave us another quote. She said, "Physical therapy helps my son reach his age appropriate physical milestones and helps him with balance, core strength, and coordination in a safe and fun environment." And I can just picture Khaled running around the physical therapy office, just trying to say hi to everyone. And oh, he's such a little joy. So I can picture him doing that. I love that quote.
So the next quote is mine. So I'm just not going to read the quote, but just say briefly what our experience was that, yeah, they didn't have a pediatric physical therapist. They sent us to a physical therapist who worked with adults and he had Freya, like holding his hands and trying to walk around the room, which she looks like she's, her hands are above her head and she's just like, it's just not how people walk at all. And when she was, I think, 8 months old, 10 months old, we went to a woman who was an oral motor specialist. This was for feeding issues. And she was well versed and passionate about the Feldenkrais method. Her thing was like that she's not going to swallow correctly if her head, like she kind of broke the movements down to where like her head had to be sitting on her shoulders the right way. And her head couldn't do that if she wasn't sitting properly. And she couldn't sit properly if she didn't know how to do it on her own. And that was a big thing. She was like, "Do not set her up against pillows. If she doesn't have the strength to do it on her own, she's not going to do it right. And then her shoulders aren't going to be sitting right. Her head's not going to be aligned." It was just this very holistic way of looking at the body and the movement. So we got a lot from her. She was amazing. And then a few years later, we had a woman coming into our home, I think for OT, actually. She's the one that introduced me into neurodevelopmental and integrative movements. It's this whole method of like looking at reflexes. And I just can't even explain it really. But it's like, there's certain reflexes that we develop in our first year of life. And when you're not moving around so much, you're not developing those reflexes. And those reflexes, really kind of dictate how you move your body. And there's a way to do these special movements. And so it was like a really interesting way to do PT. So we had these 4 rhythmic movements is what they're called. And so Freya would get in a certain position. I would rock her and sing a song. And so it was like being in this position, rocking to this rhythm. And it was like, 10, 15 minutes, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. First 2 weeks that she did it, I mean, she would just pass out, just fall asleep every time afterwards and sleep for like 2 hours. And
That would rock me to sleep too.
yeah. But there was like a sense of some really deep healing or some deep, like neurons just rewiring or something. I'm not doing it justice, but I think people definitely should check it out. Move, play, thrive. And then I found out that actually they do it because, my kids go to Waldorf inspired school. And in the younger age, because you can do the movements yourself if you
Right.
are able. So they do that at their school, actually
Oh,
for the younger
cool.
kids, like they were doing the movements because the movement teacher is really into this as well. Anyway,
Wow.
and then I saw changes like right away, just like little, like all of a sudden Freya could tie her shoe. All of a sudden she could walk up the stairs like one at a time rather than step up and pause. And so that was our experience. We didn't, traditional physical therapy was not really an option because we didn't have access to people who could work with children.
But clearly very beneficial and, helped Freya thrive nonetheless. So PT is definitely not the only one that's end all be all help. There's definitely other options out there. But, for National Physical Therapy Month, we obviously are talking through a lot of the ways that PTs have helped our loved ones too. But it's opening the door in conversation to, like you said, Annie, other, methods that either work better for families or work just as well because they can't get the access that they need to PT like your family experienced. So it's nonetheless a great conversation starter. And that's why we focus so much on these kind of like national months that relate to our loved ones' journeys to be able to open up these conversations and learn more and help provide more help through community's experience. So thank you for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
awesome that
It wasn't
helped.
as concise as I meant it to be. I apologize.
Just look it up if you can. And then finally, we had one other mom give some great advice. This is from Julie Casey, who is mom to Ryan. She says, physical therapy is a key part of early childhood development to help with strength, coordination, and endurance. PTs can help break down movements that most of us take for granted or easily learn into small segments to help our kids learn how to do things. Once the school started dropping PT, we started Ryan with therapeutic horseback riding as a replacement, something at 20 years old he's been doing since he was 5. Though not exactly the same as PT, we found that it does continue to help with the key components of PT, like strength, coordination, and endurance. Depending on the facility and specific program, you might find a place that provides hippotherapy led by a physical therapist. For us, therapeutic horseback riding has been a great therapy that doesn't seem like therapy. It's always just been a fun activity that just so happens to come with the benefits. It's just one part of our overall plan to help keep Ryan active. So that's another mom who experienced something a little bit different than, your average PT and found another way that helped her son continue to thrive. And like she said, keep things fun, but still active and still give him, the things that he needs in life to grow.
I think that's an important message that, yes, it is National Physical Therapy Month, and we want to honor physical therapists in our lives, really encourage people to seek out physical therapy where and when they can. But also, it is so important to be physical and to be moving. And if you don't have a physical therapist, that doesn't mean you can't be doing something else. Just the important is to move and build that confidence.
And if anyone ever needs advice on what kind of maybe different therapies could help your loved one. Again, our family support team is always available to give some insight and help answer any questions relating, to therapy as well. So please reach out if you have questions.
And on the subject of confidence, we have our Spotlight on Hope was submitted by an adult with PWS by Maggie. And Maggie says, my name is Maggie Omokwi. I am 21 years old with Prader-Willi syndrome. I got into Gwynedd Mercy University into their integrated studies program. I am studying education and special ed. I am so happy working at Variety Club as a camp counselor. I love helping kids with special needs, and all the kids that I work with love me. So we just want to say a big congratulations to Maggie on getting into college and what an amazing experience that she is about to have. And we're just really proud of her and happy for her and excited to share that story with the PWS community because it's just nice for parents to see that there are so many doors that are open for our kids.
Absolutely. And to those adults living with PWS who are looking maybe for that inspiration or additional hope to go after things that you want, like Maggie did. So thank you, Maggie.
And if you would like to share your spotlight on hope, we'd love to hear it. So there will be a link in the show notes for that.
Okay, moving on to our events and fundraisers section, we actually have a very special guest who is joining us today. And she is a mom, and she's doing something very amazing for the PWS community and to get funding for PWSA USA. And I know we've mentioned her before in episodes, Annie, and we even said we'd love to bring her on the podcast. Mm-hmm. So we decided to reach out to her and see if she'd be willing. And she was 100% in to give some insight into this initiative she's been working on. And so we're very excited today to welcome with us Dominique Valenti.
Dominique, if we can start with just you introducing yourself and talking a little bit about your family, how you got into the PWS community.
I am 37 years old. My daughter is 3 years old. Her name is Catalina. I got her diagnosis maybe a week after birth. It was a whirlwind of learning about PWS and figuring out what I could do to help my daughter. I got her to Dr. Miller, who is amazing. I think everyone speaks so highly of her. I got her into therapies. And at that time, I was only married for, I think, a year. I wound up going through a divorce like 7 months after my daughter was born, and life carries on. And I just picked myself up and kept going, focusing on my daughter. And I have a new partner in my life, and he's truly amazing. And my daughter is thriving, and her dad is actually supportive. And I have a whole team of people, one-to-one aid, respite worker, family support, my partner's family support. Life threw me this curveball of PWS, and here I am. I wound up meeting Dorothea at a meeting, like I told you guys. Mm-hmm. And I saw her speaking, and I just saw myself in her, and the rest was history. I was just like, I'm doing this for me, and I'm doing this for my daughter, and I'm just going to keep moving forward in life. And one small, I say a 2 millimeter shift in the right direction for yourself just makes the world of a difference, mm-hmm. going in the direction that you need to for yourself in life. So here I am. I am 3 years down the road. Catalina's doing phenomenal. One day at a time, one therapy at a time, one appointment at a time, one everything at a time. Yep. And working with the company that I work for, which is Shell. It's an independently owned and operated store, which is a family business. I've been in this business since I was born, gas stations and cars and helping customers. Shell announced the Giving Pump initiative 3 years ago, right when Catalina was born. And it gives me chills thinking about it. I didn't know the depth or the immense capacity it would have on people, but I asked the dealer at the time, which is Chestnut Petroleum, can I change the Giving Pump from where Shell raises money to Prader-Willi Syndrome Association? And with that change, it opened a ton of doors. It helped a lot of families and fundraise and just helped me make connections with families that are close to my area as well as far. Shell wound up putting me on stage at the national conference last year. And I remember a lady running up to me saying, my best friend's son, he's 11 years old and he has PWS. This is amazing. And customers coming up to me at the gas station and just saying, oh my God, my so-and-so's friend has PWS. This is amazing. So what I'm doing fundraising wise is in the months of September and October, a portion of the profits of all the fuel pumped is going to go towards PWSA.
We're so appreciative, Dominique, that you thought of PWSA for this initiative. And I love that beautiful coincidence of it being introduced when Catalina was born. That gave me chills. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. You have all these people supporting you in your, day-to-day life, your partner, your family, your aides. And of course, in addition, now the shell company in your local area. And then now all these people who have come in to fill up their gas tanks and learn a little bit more about PWS, or the people, like you said, that you've met who have come up and said, this is amazing. I know someone with Prader-Willi syndrome. So I'd love to see that additional support now that you're feeling and seeing. And that in turn is giving, additional support then to PWSA. So we just couldn't be more grateful to you for thinking of us and doing this.
I never realized that just by opening your mouth, how much
Mhm.
of a difference you can make. And I'm truly realizing that now, that just staying authentically yourself and sharing your story, how it inspires and helps other people. Because Shell picked up the story and Shell put it on their gas pumps or made a commercial out of it. Shell is recognizing Prader-Willi Syndrome Association, which is amazing to me too. Like, wow, like all I did was give birth to this beautiful, amazing child and just talk about my story. And now Shell said to me, share your story. And they're like, giving me the inspiration to just speak. And that
Yeah.
really does make a difference. Yeah.
This like a large, very well-known company now is supporting you, your family, and Prader-Willi syndrome, a very
Yeah.
rare disease. So, and we're going to have, like you said, Shell did a beautiful interview and video with you recently. That's on their YouTube page, and we'll have that linked in our show notes for everyone to go watch. So, Dominique, what inspired you?
The opportunity presented itself. The way my brain works is like, maybe this could be turned to something towards PWS. Like, and then I
Yeah.
realized that everything just overlaps, like PWS and school and work and life
Mhm.
and family. And then everything, once you really are authentically yourself and just talk, strangers in this world just connect with your story and your soul. And that like authenticity really makes a difference in life. And my life is in a completely different direction than I ever imagined it to be. But in the silver lining of it all is like, wow, God gave me this beautiful gift of my daughter, and now I'm here. We are such a rare community. And if we can just open our mouths, each and every one of us, we don't know the extent of where our story or where our advocacy work can reach. And that was a big one for me. It's far reaching. Like I said, when Shell put me on the stage at the national conference, and then they did the story, and then the journal news picked up the story, and then the article was in the journal news, and now you guys are just talking to me. And just by chipping away one story, one allotted time, one priority at a time, it really makes a big difference. And it just has to come from your heart for your child or the families that are going through the same exact stuff that we are. We all are going through it. I think once we all recognize each other in the grand scheme of thing, that like, oh, that parent is just like me, I'm going through too, or oh, this doctor's appointment. And then you realize the unity in it all. And then you're like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful community.
I have never seen the most fiercest souls in a community ever.
Mhm.
I am so grateful to be part of it and to meet, I have to say women, because the women are really leading PWSA.
Mhm.
Not to undermine great men that maybe support the women to be able to thrive. But yeah, these women are amazing.
That's
Yeah.
incredibly said. I completely agree with you. And then I also wanted to ask, I know that something that was kind of part of this year, especially that you decided you wanted to do, was an appreciation day. Is that right? Can you give a little overview of
Yeah.
what that was?
So on September 18th, we were giving back to the community. And so it happened to be a couple weeks after Shell did the story. They came to my house. They went to the gas station. They interviewed me. They took pictures of Catalina. They wanted to see her therapies. And then it just one thing led into the next. And we did our customer appreciation day. We gave away like 300 hot dogs, 300 hamburgers. We did a 65-inch flat screen TV. We just had a fun day giving back to the community, but also raising money for PWSA. And, my partner really was big on that. The Best of Little Italy, which is the deli that he runs with his family,
Mm.
helped support. And he did all the cooking for us and
Oh.
helping me. So it was nice having him there. And
Mhm.
my ex-husband showed up with his truck that he had to fill up for gas that day. So he was
Mhm.
helping too. And I had my parents there. I said to my dad at the time, I'm like, God is amazing. Life is amazing. I never would have imagined me to be where I am today.
That's incredible to hear that outpouring of support by, again, not just your personal community, but everyone else in the area who came out and, learned more about PWS. That's incredible that you did that.
To meet another mother that has a little girl that's a little bit younger than Catalina. She brought her mom and they filled up for gas too. And I got to hear her story and just hear that when she watched my post on Instagram, how it helps her stay motivated, because it could get very exhausting taking care of a schedule of a PWS child, whether it's the food consumption, the medication, the doctor's appointments. So just connecting with her or whoever else just really makes a difference.
Getting that sense of community right where you are, I think, and knowing how that, it is a small world. PWS,
small world.
Yes, it affects many families. And when, people hear about an event that supports PWS or PWSA, people come out and make sure that support is felt. So I love that drew some additional community members to you, Dominique.
For families who are interested in doing something similar, how can they get involved or try and get something like this started in their hometown, or what are the steps that somebody else can take to doing something like this?
If you're pertaining to Shell, I would tell you, go to your local Shell station and open your mouth, go find the manager, go find the owner of that Shell station and say, please, can we raise money for PWSA out of this location? Because I can't force another gas station owner to raise money for PWSA, but I can use my voice. And if that can help other people use their voice, go to your local Shell station. And every year, from my knowledge, every year now, they're going to be doing the Giving Pump Initiative, because as a customer, you go fuel up your car anyways. So if we can tie fueling up at the gas pump to helping raise money for a good cause, why not help a smaller community? I believe 7,500 Shell gas stations are participating in the Giving Pump Initiative this year. If we could crack even 10 locations to help raise money for PWSA, that would be tremendous for our community. It would help alleviate a lot of the stresses that I know, like the families of children that have PWS are the ones advocating, are the ones fundraising, are the ones that are bringing their children to clinical research trials. I'm not saying how much more can we do, but we could do a lot with our voice. Yeah.
Yes, we have seen that, on Capitol Hill. We've seen it just in, various advocacy meetings. So this is just, like you said, another way to raise your voice and get involved in your community.
I think also it doesn't have to be if you can't go to your local Shell station or there's not a Shell gas station around you. I think you still can help by sharing your story. A lot of parents maybe live in shame of diagnosis and think, oh my God, my child has this and I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it either. I am just I want to say average young female that was living and working and, always hoping for the next best thing in life. And then boom, here I am. So if you just get over yourself and realize that you can make a difference by just opening your mouth or, working with your local communities to fundraise, you can make a difference within this community itself. I think sometimes we forget the power that just lies inside of us.
Absolutely. And if you ever need that reminder, just go talk to Dorothy.
Yes.
She will ignite it in you.
Yeah.
And so, Dominique, just one final question for you. I know that this initiative goes through the end of October. So can you give listeners an overview of where they can go, where they can come and fill up, and just, some of those parameters around how they can help?
I'm not sure where you guys are located, but if anyone is located in Rockland County, Orange County, Westchester County in New York, you can drive to the Shell station in Rockland County, Mount Ivy Country Corner. The address is 361 Route 202, Pomona, New York. It's across the street from the restaurant Gilligan's, a nice seafood restaurant. If you want to make it a family trip, you can get some nice seafood and then you could come to the Shell gas station and participate in this fundraiser. All you need to do is fuel up, nothing else. And if you'd like to make an additional donation, you could tell the cashier that you want to make a donation, and we ring up the sale as a donation, and we further take those funds to PWSA at the end of October. I know customers that have seen the story on News 12 or the Journal News. They've been coming up to me and handing me cash and checks, and I'm just forwarding everything to you guys because I just realized I'm just the tool through which money is being raised now. So that's awesome.
Wow. I can't.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear that people are doing that additional steps as well as just
At the
not just filling up
gym,
their
at the
tank.
supermarket, when I'm shopping, they're
Oh.
just like, hey, I saw your story. And I'm like, amazing.
Oh.
Go find a Shell station with a purple pump and fuel up. You're doing it for a good cause. If not just for PWS, you are helping St. Jude Children's Hospital or Boys and Girls Club of America. You are doing something amazing, and you're doing something in your normal routine of life anyways.
It's nice how they created that people can help without having to take an extra step, because some people do want to help and participate, but they just feel so overwhelmed by life. So this is an easy way to help
Yes.
out.
Well, thank you so much, Dominique, for hopping on the podcast today. We so appreciate you, as we've mentioned, but can't reiterate it enough. You're killing it. We appreciate you, Dominique, so much.
Appreciate the opportunity to do this too.
So I know we've talked a lot about our 2025 PWS International Conference, which is being hosted alongside the International Prader-Willi Organization and the Foundation for Prader-Willi Research. We are so excited to work with them and have this great collaborative event. And part of that is going to be a very special and fun celebration called the 50th anniversary or birthday celebration party. And we want to give a little insight into what that is. And again, it's going to be actually during the 2025 International Conference on Friday, June 27th, during that conference time, held at the Arizona Grand Resort and Spa, but at the Oasis Pool, which is kind of the water park that's on the property. So a very fun location. So this birthday celebration is free for anyone to attend. And we actually do have VIP cabanas that can be purchased. So a little extra fun way to celebrate this. And you can purchase those when you register for the 2025 International PWS Conference. But again, everyone is invited to celebrate this special milestone occasion as we commemorate the 50th birthday or anniversary of PWSA USA and future collaborations of PWSA, IPSO, and FPWR. Together, let's celebrate 50 years of supporting individuals and families affected by PWS, milestones achieved and memories created, and a future filled with hope, advocacy, and empowerment. Come prepared for live music, delicious food, and delightful company, as well as moments of reflection, gratitude, and celebration. Your presence will make this occasion even more special. We look forward to sharing this memorable evening with you again on June 27th. That's a Friday from 6:30 to 9 p.m. during that international conference. And you can sign up to attend for free when you register for the conference, and we will make sure to have a link to that in our show notes. And kind of going along with that, Annie, we have some very exciting decor that is going to be displayed at this celebration party. And it's actually part of our larger art share that we've been doing throughout the entire year. But it focuses on our theme 3, our final theme of this Rareware art share, art piece submission period. So this theme 3 is asking individuals with PWS to submit artwork to what is your favorite birthday memory, again, to kind of highlight and go along with PWSA's 50th birthday. So a nice tie in there. So birthdays are often joyful celebrations in our lives. As PWSA USA celebrates our 50th in 2025, we want to know what happy birthday memories you have. Was there a birthday when you got to go on a fun adventure or had a very special person celebrate with you? Are your favorite birthday celebrations with family and friends? Have you traveled for a birthday? Think of a birthday that made you very happy and use your art to tell us all about it. So again, this artwork will actually be displayed at the Oasis Pool during the 50th celebration party on that June 27th date during the conference. And I personally, Annie, cannot wait to see what these submissions are going to look like. I feel like the sky's the limit here on what people can create their artwork around with their birthday memories. So
Yeah, I think I'm excited to see it all. I'm hoping because Freya's birthday is Friday. It's her 13th birthday. So I will have a teenager with PWS.
oh my
So
gosh, I did not know that, Annie.
maybe
That's
this
so
is my
awesome.
SOS out to the world. I don't know.
Send Annie your advice.
Yes, please. It's all solicited. Yes, any advice. 13, but she's really excited about it. And I mean, if I'm being honest, and maybe this is a whole other issue, but birthdays I think can be challenging, and she's so excited about it. I'm excited for her, but I'm worried that her expectations are getting too high. But I'm hoping that this birthday will be one that Freya wants to honor with an art piece for the art show.
Yes, she should definitely submit something. Please tell her happy birthday for me. So again, anyone living with PWS is invited to participate in this art share, no matter where you live, regardless of whether you'll be attending the 2025 conference or not. And we also encourage those who submitted artwork for theme 1 or theme 2 to also submit for this theme as well. And once you've completed your art piece, please submit a digital image of the artwork using the form that can be found at the Rare Aware Art Share link in our show notes. And we, again, just can't wait to see these special art pieces.
Just one thing to note after looking at the last submissions. When you take a picture of your art piece, try and get it in the frame as much as you can.
Yes.
We had one submission that I really want to get a better look at, but it's like the angle is off. It's the collage that's on the table. And I want it to be full in the frame so I can really see it. But so just kind of make note of that when you're taking your picture.
Yes, great advice. And especially because we're going to be printing the digital submissions. So we want them to be as visible as possible for those who are going to be in attendance at the conference next year so they can see the artwork, in its best form. So yeah, good call, Annie. Thank you. Moving on to hurricane support for PWS families. So PWSA USA has established a dedicated fund to support PWS families affected by the recent hurricanes. And while we have limited funds available, we are committed to helping as many families as possible during this extremely challenging time. So if you or your loved ones have been impacted by these storms and are in need of assistance, please reach out to us. And for more information, you can contact us at info@pwsausa.org or call us directly at 941-312-0400 to learn about the resources and aid that can be available. So, Annie, I know in one of our last episodes, we talked about the Dance Silly for Prader Willie event, and I had the amazing opportunity to get to go and experience it and have fun with all of the families in attendance. And it was so fun. I just saw so many people smiling so big and making so many new and great connections. And something that I love from this event was that Michelle Hampton, who hosted this, brought, her family, her friends from, her community growing up, and in turn also brought in a bunch of families with PWS who live in the area. And it was a lot of mingling and just so much awareness going on than I've seen in a long time, I guess. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but it was amazing, again, to just see families who have been in Michelle's life, and then the new families that she's met who came out to support the event who are affected by PWS, to mingle and, again, to just continue to spread that awareness in this community. So I had a blast, and it seemed like everyone else did as well.
It looked like it. I was watching the video on Facebook that you put up there, and it looked like a lot of fun. All those sweet little kids in their costumes just bouncing around. So cute.
It was such a good idea too. It was a very out of the box kind of fundraising idea, and just to have a party, kind of a dance, like a middle school dance party for our families and a lot of the younger loved ones. So they had a riot. But I was able to interview Michelle while I was there, and she gave some very sweet feedback on the support that she received from everyone in attendance and her family in putting it all together. And I wanted to share a little clip from that.
This whole event has blown up to something larger than I had ever expected. It's just so wonderful to see families that we've known for a long time, as well as new families of children with Prader-Willi syndrome. We've made connections with them, and some of them have become my best friends. So I'm very fortunate to have everybody coming out today.
And just a final thank you so much to Michelle and her family for hosting the Dance Lily for Prader-Willi event, and we look forward to next year. All right, moving on now to the New England Prader-Willi Conference. I know we mentioned that in our last Pulse episode, but just want to put out another call for those in the area to register for this great event. So the Prader-Willi Syndrome Association's New England chapter, together with sponsors Acadia Pharmaceuticals and Latham Centers, is delighted to host Knowledge is Power, a conference created for PWS families and providers. This event will be held on November 2nd at the Hilton Garden Inn in Waltham, Massachusetts. Don't miss this convenient and empowering biannual PWS event. Whether it's getting updated on the latest therapies, networking with other parents of children with PWS, learning about everything from IEP goals to adult life, or meeting leading PWS professionals from around the country, knowledge is power. Space is limited, so register as soon as you can using the link in our show notes.
So we asked you all to submit some audio files, if you're interested, to share your Halloween tips and tricks. So we do have a blog on the website that shares some families' advice, and so we'll be sure to link that. And I think that in the future, we're going to maybe explain it a little better. We only got one submission, so I'm not sure.
Or maybe make it a little easier, have like a voicemail people can call into. We're still getting the hang of this, everybody, but
yeah,
we're getting there.
yeah. But we definitely we really love including other voices in this. And this one, this audio is, I think, really special because it's an adult with PWS explaining or a tip that works for them around Halloween and candy. And so a disclaimer that, yes, I know there are a lot of families out there that don't touch candy, they don't touch sugar. And we want to reiterate that what works for one family doesn't work for all families. And some families are more open to the idea. The way we do Halloween is that I let the girls go trick-or-treating, and I do let Freya keep one piece of candy per however years old she is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take the rest, and then I try not to eat it. I stash it away, I give it to a friend. Sometimes I eat more than I should, but secretly.
Secretly.
And then
behind the couch or in the car.
yeah. And then we go to the dollar store and she picks out a couple of things. And I do that with her sister too. It's not just her, so because I've never been into like the gluttony of the candy, but I do let Freya have some candy, and I know that is controversial and with some people. Anyway, so I just want to clarify before you listen to this audio clip, because it is an adult with PWS who wanted to share his tip about Halloween candy. So here's Derek.
A helpful tip that I can give is if your child happens to obtain a king-sized bar while out trick-or-treating, I would suggest splitting the bar into quarters and having 1/4 each session that you would like your child to have said candy bar. That has helped me.
Thank you, Derek, for that submission. I really appreciate hearing from different people, especially people with PWS. I mean, who should have more of a say sometimes than the people that we work for and are striving for. So thank you for that. And if you're looking for more ideas, definitely check out the link in our show notes to the blog with other ideas. And we just hope that everybody has a nice, safe, happy Halloween, however you celebrate it or not.
Moving on to our advocacy section of the newsletter, we have some opportunities available for everyone to share their PWS story. So the first one is that Soleno Therapeutics has launched its first in a series of something they're starting called Our Stories. It's a section of a website that they just created dedicated to sharing firsthand stories of individuals living with PWS and their caregivers. Starting with Kelly and her daughter Clementine, these stories will convey the joys and challenges of living with PWS and loving someone with the condition. To inspire others within the PWS community, Kelly shares her journey as a caregiver for Clementine, who lives with PWS. Through their story, Kelly opens up about how PWS has impacted her family of 6. She sheds light on their daily challenges and triumphs, illustrating that while PWS and its symptoms manifest differently for each person, the hope and resilience they hold remain constant. So to view this video and share written stories or quotes of your own, you can visit the link in our show notes that's labeled Support for PWS. And this website was designed by Soleno as a source of hope for individuals living with PWS, their families, and loved ones. And you can sign up to receive future updates from Soleno, including more stories like Kelly and Clementine's, again, at the link in our show notes. So another way that you can share your PWS story is directly with PWSA USA on our website, and I'll give a little insight into that. So on October 8th, Soleno Therapeutics provided an update on DCCR, a potential treatment for hyperphagia in individuals with PWS. Following the submission of a new drug application by Soleno, the FDA has granted priority review of DCCR, expediting the evaluation process. However, no advisory committee meeting will be held at this time. We continue to push for new treatments and ensure the PWS community's voice is heard. While it appears there may not be another opportunity for our community to share their support for DCCR prior to the Prescription Drug User Fee Act date of December 27th, we do encourage you and or your loved ones affected by PWS to contribute a written testimonial, which PWSA USA will securely hold in the event the FDA requests additional community input. And you can learn more about that and share your testimonial at the link in our show notes. Some other advocacy news here. On October 16th, PWSA USA and FPWR were honored to participate in the public meeting Advancing Rare Disease Therapies through FDA Rare Disease Innovation Hub, which was hosted by the Reagan-Udall Foundation in collaboration with the FDA's Rare Disease Innovation Hub. The hybrid event brought together advocates, researchers, industry professionals, and other stakeholders to discuss innovative approaches for advancing treatments for rare diseases. As part of our ongoing commitment to the PWS community, PWSA USA and FPWR actively engaged in this meeting to represent the voices and needs of those affected by PWS. In addition, we collaborated on a written submission to the FDA, providing our recommendations on prioritizing and structuring the Rare Disease Innovation Hub. This collaboration ensures the needs and unique challenges of the PWS community are addressed within this transformative initiative. During the meeting, key topics included approaches to enhance FDA engagement with patient groups and priority issues for rare diseases. This event reflects a significant step forward for rare disease advocacy, and we look forward to continued engagement with the FDA to expedite development and approval of safe and effective therapies for PWS and other rare conditions. To learn more about the meeting and to view the full agenda or review the presentation slides, you can visit the Reagan-Udall Foundation website, which we will have linked in our show notes. And to view the written documents submitted on behalf of the PWS community, you can also find that link in our show notes. Thank you for your ongoing support as we continue to work to advocate for and advance the interests of our community. And finally, in our advocacy section of the Pulse, we shared a very special blog post, Annie, that really made my heart so happy. I don't know if you felt the same, but it was so beautifully shared, I guess, by the Adults with PWS Advisory Board. Their members actually met in Phoenix, Arizona last week. I think it was one of their first meetings together in a really long time in person. And so not only did they get to, meet in person and have great conversations and connect, but they got to see the conference space because it was held at the Arizona Grand Resort and Spa, which is where our 2025 conference will be held. And I know that, a lot of the meeting was talking about the collaboration between the group going forward and different ways to, engage other adults with Prader-Willi syndrome. But it was also an opportunity for them to get together and discuss what that half-day Adults with PWS conference is going to look like next summer during the 2025 International PWS Conference. So such an amazing, opportunity again for them to be able to come together and discuss some really important things, especially this half-day conference that I think will just touch so many lives and be a great opportunity for other adults with PWS. So a really cool week for them and for us because we get to read this amazing blog.
Yeah, I know the quotes in there were really sweet. I appreciate you putting that together. It was really nice to read about it and just to hear some of their experiences. And I love that they're getting together like that. I love that there's a place for them to advocate for themselves, to make decisions, to talk about what this day is going to look like for them at the conference. That's very cool. And I'm excited that we will actually get a glimpse of that meeting, right? In next week's podcast, we get to hear how the meeting went. We get to a sneak peek, right?
It's going to be a really, I think, great episode, especially for those listening who have an adult loved one with PWS. I sincerely encourage you to have them listen to, again, next week's episode. And because it will feature all of our adults with PWS advisory board members. There's 7 of them, and they all share different challenges and triumphs of living with PWS, but also different ways that people can connect with them or, learn more about the advisory board or just opportunities to connect with other adults with PWS. So please tune into that next week. We cannot wait to share what they had to say. It's truly special.
Yeah. And until then, definitely check out the blog that Carrie put together. The link for that is in our show notes. So moving on to family support, this week's blog was written by Lisa Graziano, MALMFT. She is a parent of an adult son with PWS, a fierce advocate, and just an incredibly knowledgeable woman. She works with PWCF, the California Foundation. And since I live in California, I get a lot of advice and knowledge from Lisa. She's helped me through some things that are California specific. But she found this book. This book is called Forces of Nature by Gina DeMillo Wagner. So this memoir was written by an adult sibling of an individual with PWS who has passed away. And according to Lisa, this is a quote from Lisa, the ideal audience for this book is the adult who has grown up with a sibling with PWS, especially one whose symptoms include or included physical aggression. Parents may gain insight into their children's experiences with their sibling with PWS and be reminded of the need to be present for each of our children and protect them, including, if necessary, from their sibling with PWS. Professionals who wish to gain some insight into the experiences of those who live with a sibling with PWS who has aggressive behaviors may also find the book helpful. So obviously this book does involve the topic of death. And as Lisa emphasizes, it is not for the parents of the young child with PWS. And if you are a parent in the community, you know that one of the first pieces of advice that you get is to not look too far forward.
Yes.
And that
So
doesn't mean
important.
that there's not a lot of amazing, wonderful things that happen later on, because there are, but there are sometimes some things that can be a little heavy at the time. So if you are the parent of an adult or an older child, and you would like to hear this one person's perspective on being a sibling, Forces of Nature, we'll have a link to Lisa's book review. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And then Lisa's book review has a couple links. You can get it on Kindle, or you can get it through Amazon or other sites. But I know that we posted this on social media and there was a lot of conversation on there and a lot of people interested in this book. And so I think it's definitely could be really interesting for people to check out, families of older individuals.
Absolutely. I think for younger parents, just to give them a book suggestion as well, since we're on the topic. Destiny Pasha, Dr. Destiny Pasha wrote, it starts with hello, Katie's story about Prader-Willi syndrome. And that's more for the, younger children, school age children. And just to give an additional separate book recommendation for those listening.
Yeah. I love that.
Worth your while. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also I know I got a book from PWSA years ago. There was a kid's book. It's still there, I think. And I don't remember what it's called, but it follows the experiences of two, I think they're made up, of course, but two individuals with PWS in school and how it looks differently. It looks different for each of them. And if I find it, I'll link that in the show notes.
And I know that there just are continuing to be more, which is amazing. I love to see all of these siblings and community members, parents, whoever is out there writing these. Thank you. It's so beneficial, not just to our community, but to the just wider population to understand more about Prader-Willi syndrome. So we love to see it.
And so thanks to the incredible generosity of an anonymous donor, PWSA USA is thrilled to bring back Operation Holiday Cheer for 2024. This heartwarming initiative helps spread joy to families in need by easing the financial burden of the holiday season. Through this program, a select number of families affected by PWS will receive gift cards to assist with holiday expenses, ensuring they can focus more on celebrating with loved ones and less on financial stress. So if your family could benefit from this support, we invite you to apply by completing our Operation Holiday Cheer application. And these applications are due by Friday, November 8th. So don't miss the opportunity to bring a little cheer into your home this holiday season. And you will find the link to that application in our show notes. This week's Nurse Lynn was involved aging in PWS. The question was about a female, 62 years old, unknown subtype. And the submission reads, my sister has PWS. We live in Quebec, Canada. There is so little information about how people with PWS age. We have reduced her meds recently due to aging, bupropion by half, and she is now taking lorazepam to handle side effects. She takes medicine due to pre-diabetes. She is losing weight gradually due to very careful carbs management and regular exercise. What should we watch for as she ages? And can you refer me to information or websites about aging in people with PWS? If this is a topic that interests you, if you want to know more about it, you can find the link to that blog post in our show notes. And of course, at the end of that blog, you will also find a form to submit your own question to Nurse Lynn. We just really appreciate the submissions that come in because it gives us all an opportunity to learn more and another way to help families who have very important questions. We also want to remind people, as we'll do at the end, that we do have a medical crisis line. And I'll put that number in the show notes as well, because sometimes we do get a question that comes in and it needs a little more immediate attention. So the Nurse Lynn submissions are for non-emergency medical questions. We need to stress that because we only check it once a week.
Right. But by calling our 24-hour crisis line, we can get you in touch with a family support staff or Nurse Lynn, very quickly to help with some of those more emergency questions. Yes.
Yeah. So next week we have our family support webinar, and this is Support PWS Research and Create Community. This will be on Tuesday, October 29th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Join us for an insightful and informative webinar to learn how you can help advance PWS research while also finding and building community support. PWS parents Maria Picconi and Chris DeFelice are excited to share how their personal journey with PWS led them to create the PWS Connect channel on Discord, a place where caregivers come together to share their journeys, experiences, questions, and advice to support each other and directly impact the progress of PWS research. This webinar will explain the what, why, and how of Trend Community and the PWS Connect Discord group and include time for your questions. So we hope that you join us for a new wave of PWS insights and growing research. And you can register for this webinar by following the link in our show notes.
So moving on to some research news in the PWS community, there is a new light therapy study for excessive daytime sleepiness that is looking for participants in our community to join. So Maimonides Medical Center, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, but they are seeking volunteers who are at least 6 years old and diagnosed with Prader-Willi syndrome to participate in a clinical research study to see whether or not the study device works to reduce excessive daytime sleepiness. And to be eligible for this clinical research study, participants must be, again, at least 6 years old. Note that adults with PWS are eligible for the study, and they must be diagnosed with PWS. And eligible participants who get accepted will receive and get to keep study-related materials, a Fitbit device, and a state-of-the-art light therapy lamp. All study visits will be remote via video sessions, so no travel is involved with this. And for more information, you can contact this center at their phone number and email address, and we will make sure to have those in our show notes as well. I also wanted to put out another little call to action here for our abstracts for the 2025 International PWS Conference, specifically the Professional Providers Program submissions. Those abstract submissions, the deadline is approaching very quickly now. I cannot believe we're almost in November, but those submissions are due by November 5th, 2024. And you can find a link to submit those and to find more, helpful details on what the abstract should look like and, the submission process and when you'll be notified and all of that great information at the link in our show notes, which is attached to the International Prader-Willi Syndrome Organization's website. So again, go and check that out if you're interested in submitting an abstract for either the Professional Providers Program or the Clinical and Scientific Program. And actually, the Clinical and Scientific Program abstract deadline submission is a little bit later on. That one's January 31st. So still a little bit of time for those. But we encourage all of those, researchers out there to submit yours and get an opportunity to share them with, the greater PWS community at this conference next summer. So just another reminder that we also have a few Echo for PWS webinars coming up. One is actually going to be happening in just a couple of days here on October 24th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern. The topic for this Echo will be psychiatry and PWS with speaker Dr. Deepan Singh, and that will be held on Zoom. And we encourage all healthcare providers listening to register for that informative Echo session at the link in our show notes. And we also, again, have another webinar following that one on Monday, November 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern with Dr. Daniela Rubin, who will focus on exercise physiology. We also now have the recording to the Echo for PWS webinar Cardiac Concerns with Dr. Loker available, and you can find a link to view that webinar in our show notes, and anyone out there listening can watch the recordings of these. So while these webinars are for healthcare professionals to attend only, we will have recordings of the webinars available on our YouTube channel following the presentations, and you can find that playlist in our show notes.
So our final piece of the Pulse newsletter is a PWSA USA resource spotlight. And this week we chose to remind you all about our hope for the holidays. While it is important to remember that what works for one family may not work for another, it is also helpful to share our tips and strategies for navigating this PWS life. So how you successfully steer through a food-laden holiday may help another family find their own alternative options or create unique traditions. So there will be a link in the show notes to either share a story, a photo, a tip, or a recipe from a past Halloween or Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, New Year's. I'm going to throw in there the winter solstice, any holiday that you celebrate. We'd love to know how you kind of handle the food issues around that. We will share the submissions on our social media pages, and you can also choose to submit anonymously. So if you don't want your name attached to it, that's fine. So yeah, we're just looking forward to gathering some of those and finding more creative ways to make it through the holidays with our sanity intact. So please.
So important.
Yeah.
I would also add Annie, to, how people navigate the food aspects of these holidays, to also maybe share how they either tell their family members or how they kind of navigate alongside some of those relatives you may not see all the time, throughout the year, and what that might look like as well. I think some people would find some tips around that pretty beneficial. And then also the maybe scheduling for the day as well. How, because that time can be pretty chaotic, as we all know, and it could come with some curveballs to how the days are structured. So coming in with maybe some ideas around that would be also very helpful if anyone has some good insight as to how it's worked for your family in the past.
Yeah. Yeah, because Thanksgiving dinner at 4 changes the schedule.
Right. Absolutely.
And the food is out all day long. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I also, Carrie, just wanted to mention, because you said that months ago, I wrote a blog called Letter to Friends and Family. So that is, maybe I can link to that, but that is something that some people have found useful, and hopefully you could too, as just a way to kind of general overview of PWS. And so if you are anticipating these holidays and you're going to be around people that you're not typically around, or people that don't really understand PWS, this might be a good starter to the conversation, is to send this letter. That was kind of the intention of that. So I will link to that as well. But definitely open to new ideas, more ideas, all of it.
Please tell us, especially your recipes, because Annie wants them.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I do. I'm always looking for more recipes.
So Annie, do you have any mission moments or, spotlights to end on? If not, I have one.
I mean, I could come up with one, but if you got one.
Yeah. There's so many, around surrounding us every day. It's so funny because I feel like I continue to mention almost the same thing every time, but it's a shameless plug for the podcast, but also, to highlight these amazing individuals who are willing to come on and really get real and share their stories. And Clint Hurdle did that for us last week. And he shared a lot of personal stories with him and his family, and his daughter Madison has PWS, and she's an adult, but they've gone through, they have such a unique life, I think, too, because he has been in the Major League Baseball world for so long, but he's so good at sharing that dad perspective. And he's done that for us in several conferences in the past, but we really, Stacy really sat down and got real with him and had him sharing a lot of personal insight. And he got just, very emotional and shared some really personal, touching moments from, all the way from the diagnosis through, just this last year. But it really, struck a chord with me. And so I can't imagine how much it will impact parents, especially dads out there in the community who listen to it. But I just want to give Clint a shout out and a big thank you for coming on and getting real.
I listened to it on the plane on the way back from LA, because Frey and I were at another appointment, another pitolisant trial appointment. And I listened to it in the plane on the way home. And I was crying, and just like, thankfully it was dark, It was such a beautiful episode. And one of the things that I really appreciated was talking about the importance of, even though we always want to hear from the dads, the mom, we feel like the moms get heard from a lot, but he did stress the importance of dads, really supporting the moms. And it could, of course, there's different situations. Like it's more of like supporting the primary caretaker, and how important it is to support the primary caretaker in any situation, but especially when there is a loved one with PWS in the home, just, stressing the importance of how overwhelming that can be, and how we all got to take care of each other. So take care of your primary caretakers, I guess.
Absolutely. And that actually too, Annie, kind of flows into the fact that November is National Caregiver Month. And we're so excited to share a couple of things. You'll see a couple of things on our, social media channels and in our Pulse newsletters that reference National Caregiver Month. But what an important time to really take stock in making sure that those around you and those who are helping with your loved one are taken care of. And that includes yourself, as a primary caregiver. What what are you doing to take care of your needs sometimes? And maybe November is a good time to reflect on that and follow us on our social channels and get some ideas because we'll be sharing them.
Thank you for listening to this episode of PWS United. If you would like to learn more about Prader-Willi syndrome and how PWSA USA is making strides in advocacy, family support, and research, please visit www.pwsausa.org. While you're there, we encourage you to sign up for our Pulse email newsletter to stay informed about the latest news, resources, and events. And don't forget to subscribe to the PWS United podcast so you never miss an episode. Our team is always available to support families and their loved ones living with PWS. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can call us at 941-312-0400 or email info@pwsausa.org. Catch a new episode next Tuesday, and until then, have a great week.